Welcome to the Other Star franchise, the anti-fascist Star Wars podcast where a couple of Trekkies from the Star Trek fandom discuss Star Wars. We are about to, we've already gotten started. I need to update my little script here. We have started watching the Star Wars shows, movies, and animation in chronological order leading up to the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie later this year. Today, we are discussing The Phantom Menace, as well as some other Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Underworld episodes that take place between the years 68 BBY and 32 BBY. We're getting closer to that Battle of Yavin. When we were talking about the Acolyte, we were like 132 BBY, like 100 years out. Now we're only 32 years out, so. But I'm Fatheree, this is Taylor. Taylor, how are you doing?
Good.
Well, are you excited to talk about some Star Wars? Some prequel love today. We're talking prequels.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we can go ahead and get started on this. So, just starting off right off the bat, we are going to begin with some Tales of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to talk about some Tales of the Underworld. Then we're going to switch gears and talk about like a big movie with The Phantom Menace.
Yep.
No, not one of these. This isn't one of them 12-minute runtime Tales of the Jedi. This is a
whole movie.
A 2-hour movie.
Yeah, it's a commitment.
And then after that, we're going to end with one final Tales of the Jedi. So, now that we got that figured out, let's. I don't know. Before we go any further, I guess should we talk about like what is Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Underworld for people who don't know? Like a lot of people out there might be like, well, I've heard of the Phantom Menace, but what the hell is Tales of the Underworld? Is that Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean they're basically just short stories, mostly about characters we already know. So Tales of the Jedi is obviously going to be tales focusing on the Jedi or Jedi adjacent people, like Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, and then we have Tales of the Underworld, which I would say these are short stories on like non-Force users or / vaguely gray / bad guys, maybe like bounty hunters, like Ventress. I think Morgan would count as like an underworld person, right? She's in the underworld stuff.
Sure. I mean, she got her story told in Tales of the Empire.
Oh, then never mind. Well, I was getting to that next. I couldn't remember which one she was in.
Yeah, they all kind of bleed together. But yeah, it's an animated anthology series.
Yeah, but some of them aren't anthology because there's like 3-parters in it.
Right, but I would still count them as anthologies. Okay. Are they 3-parters, or are they just, like, 3... Well, I guess some of them are.
One that we're talking about today is a 3-parter.
Yeah, the Cad Bane one. But, like, there's 3 Dooku ones, but I don't know if I would call that a 3-parter.
Right,
they're kind of 3...
Morgan's and... What's her name? The Barriss Offies. I think she has multiple.
Well, those are in... We'll get to those when we do Tales of the Empire.
Yeah, I'm just trying to explain.
So, today's topics, though, the... 2 Tales of the Jedi episodes that we're going to talk about first are going to be about Count Dooku, and then 3 Tales of the Underworld episodes about Cad Bane, the bounty hunter you might know from the Clone Wars animated show, or also he appeared in live action in the Book of Boba Fett that we're going to get to eventually. And you're also getting some cool sound effects of our cat scratching up our office chairs, but that's okay. We like the raw, gritty reality of the Other Star franchise. So it is a franchise known for very rich sound effects.
That's true.
I would say the most iconic sound effects in the world come from Star Wars, like the lightsaber, or like the screech of the TIE fighters. But where was I? Did I mention the Phantom Menace yet?
No.
Okay, well, there's a baby Ahsoka Tales of the Jedi, then the Phantom Menace movie, and then the final Dooku Tales of the Jedi that shows what Count Dooku was up to during the Phantom Menace, and also what would lead him to, I guess, the position we find him in Attack of the Clones which but that's the next thing we're gonna watch later tonight. Taylor and I are gonna watch Attack of the Clones. So, but this is what we have on the plate for today. Starting with these first two Tales of the Jedi, the Dooku stories, Justice and Choices. These are set between the years 68 BBY and 48 BBY. So, roughly 30 or so years before the events of the Phantom Menace. Right? Or, I don't know, at least, what's 48 minus 32? 16?
Okay.
So, between 16 and 30-something years. But before that stuff, let's start with those Dooku stories. I really like these. This is someone who, keep in mind, I am an old school prequel hater. I love the original trilogy. I don't really care about the prequels that much. I didn't need a good Count Dooku story, like, well, Count Dooku. You get this great actor like Christopher Lee, and you cast him in Star Wars to be someone called Count Dooku. Sounds like Count Doodoo. All this like dumb stuff in Attack of the Clones. One of the worst Star Wars movies ever made in a lot of people's opinions. But the Clone Wars show did a lot of cool stuff with Dooku, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I remember him a lot of times in that show, he just felt like such like a big threat. Like if Dooku was in an episode, it's like, oh man, like this guy can really fuck up some Jedi. Powerful Force user. But these are stories about Dooku. This is set after The Acolyte, but before The Phantom Menace. That's why we're talking about it now. And you just see, it's kind of that same Jedi Order that was established in the Acolyte that we talked about previously, though. They've become very bureaucratic. Everything is very procedural. It's like I guess the first story, Justice, we see a young Dooku teaming up with his apprentice, young Qui-Gon Jinn, voiced by Liam Neeson's real-life son, which is pretty cool. And then after that, we see a young Dooku and a young Mace Windu on a mission together in Choices. And I guess in that one, that's when you really, you see Mace Windu, he's kind of like this, I don't know, he's like this nerdy Jedi who just wants to follow the rules. And it's like he has like he's following a guideline. Mm-hmm. Like everything's like a procedure. It's like he has like one of those like procedural like trees,
Yeah, one of the things that drives me nuts is whenever the Jedi are like, we have to take this to the council. We can't make a decision until we talk to the council, blah blah blah. And that just seems like a lack of initiative. We saw that in The Acolyte. Yeah, it's like a lack of initiative, though. Like
it's like when a company becomes like big and large, and it becomes like very corporate, and then it's like you have to like micromanage what all your employees are doing. It's like, well, you have to follow the procedure. You have to check in with your supervisor for everything. It's like that's what the Jedi Order is. In the ancient days, you imagine these knights roaming the land, and like looking for people in need of help that they can help. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like they're just they've become like part of the government. They've become part of this corrupt Senate that Dooku has a lot of issues with.
Yeah,
that's kind of neat.
It makes getting help harder and takes longer. So it's like, oh well, all the people that could possibly be hurt or die between this decision by waiting,
So in that first episode, Justice, or I guess it's actually the second episode of Tales of the Jedi, because Star Wars, we tell stories out of order. But you see Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn go to... they're looking to rescue a senator's son who has been kidnapped and is being held hostage. And they find these people living in severe poverty. They're, like, hungry. They're like man, like, we starved to death. And then you find out, like, the senator, is, he's this rich, corrupt fat cat. And Dooku is like, man, like, that's messed up. Like, I'm sympathetic to these kidnappers. And... you as the audience member watching that, you're meant to feel the same way. And I was
even the son of the senator feels that way.
Yeah. He was like Stockholm syndrome, but like, how could he not be? He's like, man, like I lived a sweet, privileged life, and then these people don't have anything. Mm-hmm. And so that's so cool when you see young Qui-Gon Jinn, kind of unsure about things. He's kind of naive. He's like, oh man, like people really have to live this terrible, and then he doesn't get it. He's like, oh, she's one of the kidnappers, master. And Dooku is like, no, son, like they're all like all these people or against the senator. They all were in favor of like snatching up his son. And then when the senator arrives and he starts like bossing the Jedi around, Dooku is like, "Now hold on, senator. Like there's shit here that we don't want to turn a blind eye to." He tells him he's like, "Well, I haven't finished my investigation yet." And then the senator is like, he wants to get rid of him. And he's like, "Remember that the Jedi serve the Senate." And I love that line from Dooku. And he's like, "No, we serve the people of this republic."
Mm-hmm.
And then like when they pop out their lightsabers to fight the senator's guards, and I love Dooku is like willing, like he's like, "I'm gonna fight for these people. I don't give a shit about the Jedi Order. I don't give a shit about the Senate. I care about like right and wrong, and this is wrong, and I'm gonna side with right." And I love that like when Dooku activates his lightsaber, it's like right at like Qui-Gon Jinn, like he's like a loyal student to his like then like he pulls out his lightsaber, like no hesitation. He's like, "I guess we're doing this." And but and then Qui-Gon Jinn stops him from going too far. Mm-hmm. But like when you see like Dooku force choking that senator, I was like, man, that if I could use like force powers, it would be really hard not to tap into the dark side and choke corrupt politicians to death. like for real, it would be that was one of the most relatable depictions of dark side temptation. Yeah, my dog is shaking his collar around, interrupting me, but that's okay. I'll get the truth out there. That was one of the most relatable displays of dark side temptation I've ever seen a Force user have to deal with in Star Wars. But, I don't know. I guess it works out though because Qui-Gon stops Dooku from going too far. Mm-hmm. And so, and when he tells him, he says, he gives him the same line that Qui-Gon gives Obi-Wan in The Phantom Menace. And like, "You're a much wiser man than me," but it's like, man, maybe if Qui-Gon Jinn had stuck around, maybe Dooku wouldn't have gone off the rails in Attack of the Clones to start the clone. Like, maybe there would have been a way where like Dooku and Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi could have like all teamed up to stop the corrupt Senate and stop the evil fascist Sith Lord Palpatine from taking over. Mm-hmm. But that obviously doesn't happen. But it would have been cool. And then the other one, choices, I don't know. It's just basically they go to the planet that becomes the capital of the Confederacy in Clone Wars, Raxus Secundus, right? And that's when you see like, well, Mace Windu just follows all the rules, and I don't know. What do you think about those Dooku stories? Those first two.
I really like Dooku being adamant about investigating and getting more information, and not just like taking what they say or what's been reported to them. Like the Choices episode where they're basically there to pick up Khatri's dead body. The Jedi Khatri was there, and
they were supposed to escort the body back, and then Dooku is like, "We need to do like a full investigation because I smell some corrupt Senate shit."
Yeah, and I love his saying to Mace where he's like, "Well, if this was you, wouldn't you want us to investigate?" And Mace is like, "Oh, I would just leave it up to the council."
Yeah,
that's
what
insane.
What a bitch, Mace Windu. He's like, I wouldn't want you to rock the boat, even if a corrupt senator killed me. I was like, man, you're worthless then. You're a bitch, Mace Windu.
Yeah, agree. It was rough. So I really liked Dooku in these. I think it really aids to showing how he does turn from being a Jedi to becoming a Sith, just because the Jedi have failed him and so many people, and they're not like empathetic to their own. Like that lack of emotions that they are so proud of like having is also like their curse,
So this is what I wrote in my notes is Mace Windu is a Mayor Pete rule follower incapable of going against the flawed and corrupted system. Only pro-status quo types like Mace Windu get to rise to power within the establishment. And yeah, that's kind of like how I feel about like this, like a politician, Mayor Pete. But it's like, man, like Mayor Pete, he ain't never gonna challenge the establishment. He's gonna be a good little rule follower. So, again, on this show, like I view everything from a leftist lens because that's just who I am. But Dooku hears one of the kidnappers say that the Jedi only serve and protect the rich and powerful, and like that really connected with him. And later he tells that guy, he's like, I don't approve of your tactics, but I approve of your cause. Basically, is what he says to him. It's sad because you see Dooku kind of had a point in calling up this kind of I'll call it like a federal government because I don't have like a better term, but like this, he calls out like this corrupt galactic government and how it's kind of lost sight of the everyday little person. So, but I don't know. You want to move on to Cad Bane?
Yep.
Yeah, we still got a lot to cover. So let's talk about the next 3 things we watched. They were 3 episodes of Tales of the Underworld: The Good Life, A Good Turn, and One Good Deed.
Good.
We can call this the Cad Bane prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Tell us what happened in these Tales of the Underworld.
Well,
Cad Bane, tell us
I'm
his
just going to
backstory.
do the whole thing as one arc because it's kind of all one story over the course of 3 episodes. But we start with young Cad Bane and his friend as children, kind of like street rats, making their way, kind of like scrounging and taking odd jobs and like stealing and not pickpocketing, but like trash can dumpster diving, I guess, to like live, these poor kids like on the street. And then they're eventually approached by like this kind of mysterious gang leader,
criminal,
but
like a gangster.
And he basically is like, hey, I see what y'all are doing, you're not so bad, you want to help me with a job? And he
gives them a taste of the good life. He's like, here's a nickel, now imagine if I gave you a quarter tomorrow.
Exactly. And like this is like the first time they get good food and stuff. And
they're like, man, I can buy a lollipop. Like, this is cool.
So then they eventually help them out with this job and ends up blowing up this shop. And long story short, Cad Bane escapes, but his friend ends up getting arrested because
I like that his
caught.
name is Colby. Cad Bane's name was Colby. He's like, Cad sounds cooler than Colby, I guess, if you want to have like a cool gangster outlaw name.
So then in the second episode, we get like Cad Bane kind of like as a young adult.
Yeah.
And
he's up-and-coming criminal.
Yeah, he's part of this gang now with this guy. And it turns out that his friend has basically turned his life around, right? We're in that part of this.
Yeah.
Where his friend he becomes a deputy, right?
Stopped being a juvenile delinquent and became a cop.
Yeah. So he's obviously upset about that, and then he's there to get revenge on the marshal for killing because the big gang leader boss guy with the hat, he dies in that episode.
This tells the story of how Cad Bane got his hat.
Yeah.
Kind of like how George Lucas wanted to be sure we learned the story of how Indiana Jones got his hat.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
Well, go watch the opening of The Last Crusade.
Anyways, so they meet again while Cad Bane is basically there to try to kill the marshal, which he does, and ends up his girlfriend gets
Erin.
left behind because she's injured in this kerfuffle. Mm-hmm. And basically he runs away, and that's the end of that episode, which then leads us into the next episode where we have a few years time jump, and we see that the deputy, his friend, has now been promoted to marshal now, and but Cad Bane was arrested, right? So he's like
Cad
released.
Bane's been locked up, and his friend is raising his kid.
Yeah.
That Erin had, and then she died.
Yeah, and he didn't know that. I guess she was pregnant,
Yeah.
which is a trope I just fucking love.
So he gets
and by
out,
fucking love I mean I really hate. That's like one of my least favorite. But go ahead.
But then he gets out of prison, and so he's coming to town thinking that like my best friend who betrayed me, he's the sheriff now, and I'm gonna shoot him down and then take my lady back and ride off into the sunset, a big damn hero.
Yeah.
And so
Little does he know.
Little does he know that Erin is dead. But
he has a surprise son
that he doesn't know about. So he kills the marshal who had raised his son. So it's kind of like a Darth Vader thing. It's kind of like this kid is going to grow up hating his dad, like how Luke hated Darth Vader,
Yeah, poor thing.
But I thought that was kind of a cool story. I thought that was kind of a cool. I didn't need a Cad Bane backstory, but I don't know. It was enough westerny type vibes that it felt appropriate for the gunslinger bounty hunter and the weird cowboy hat of the Star Wars universe.
I actually really loved Cad Bane so much in Clone Wars? Is that where he's mostly in? And then live action.
And he's in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, and he's in the Bad Batch and stuff. Yeah, but I really, really liked him. I think it's like he makes obviously questionable choices. He's not. He's
a very, very bad guy. Like he's not like some bounty hunters are like, oh, I'm actually kind of a decent person. But like Cad Bane would literally kidnap a baby and hand the baby over to Darth Sidious.
Yeah,
because we literally see him do that.
Yeah, but I think this trilogy, when I first saw it, I was like, oh man, he like really sucks. I think, I don't know, I already knew he sucked, but whenever it was like, oh, his friend was left behind, oh, he killed the marshal, oh, he kills his friend, I was like, yeah, this guy is terrible.
Maybe the Book of Boba Fett will hit different when we rewatch it, because what happens in that with Boba. Well, we do spoilers on this show, except for we can spoil anything but Skeleton Crew. That's the rule.
But that's because we don't know the Skeleton Crew,
but,
so we can't spoil it.
If you're not down with that, then this ain't the show for you. Because we don't want anyone to spoil the Skeleton Crew for us.
Right.
So that's the rule going forward. It's no spoilers for Skeleton Crew, but you can spoil anything else. Sorry, I know that's incredibly unfair. But y'all can make y'all's own Star Wars content if you don't like ours. In the Book of Boba Fett, Boba puts down Cad Bane.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to be, no one's ever really gone. That's one of the things I dislike about Star Wars. But maybe that'll hit different now that we know, knowing his ending, now that we see his beginning. Mm-hmm. Shall we move on to...
Life and Death.
Yeah, enough about young Dooku, enough about young Cad Bane. Let's talk about little baby Ahsoka. So... the first tells of the Jedi in the order that they released them on almost said Paramount Plus, Disney Plus. But yeah, we see little baby Ahsoka express her Force sensitivity as an infant.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. She is so cute with her little dots on her cheeks and forehead. Mm-hmm. I love seeing
reminder. This is your favorite character in all of Star Wars.
I love Ahsoka. Yeah, I would say she's number one, probably.
Cool.
But yeah, I thought this was cute. I also kind of sad because it's like, man, you get to see her with her family and this possibility of what her life could have been like, and have these parents that loved her so much and take her on these cultural rituals of hunting and stuff, and she's Force sensitive. So she's going to be taken away, and she is taken away. She doesn't end up remembering, her parents and stuff. That comes up later whenever she doesn't remember. Because
her mom,
taken so young.
Her mom seems like the mom taking her on a hunt. I kind of took it as maybe in this culture the women do all the hunting.
Yeah.
I don't know, the men build the houses and the women go hunt the food or something like that. But it felt kind of it was very ritualistic. It was just good world building. Mm-hmm. But what I really liked about all these villagers, what are their species? Togruta? Togruta.
Or Togruti for the plural.
But they all had kind of an individual look to them.
Uh-huh.
Compared to, we watched The Phantom Menace, and when you see the Gungan army marching, and it looks like they just copy pasted the same character
That's
model.
That's how I feel about Twi'leks sometimes. They all look the same. But yeah, they have different markings and stuff.
There's not really much story. I don't know if I needed to see baby Ahsoka, but it is kind. I don't know. It's kind of cool, the image of her riding the saber-toothed tiger at the end.
I think more than anything, it's just cute to see her as a baby be Force sensitive. But I think for me, it honestly hits more sad than it does.
Because you see the life. Oh, that would have hell. That seems like a pretty cool village to live in.
Yeah.
You could have been friends with this old lady, and they're this dad seems fun. No, I get it. Yeah, instead she's gonna spend her youth fighting the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's what she did as a teenager.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, it was basically it just shows baby Ahsoka get attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, or get approached. She doesn't get attacked. she just like rides the beast back into the village and reveals to the village elder like, oh, Ahsoka is force sensitive. I guess she's gonna go be a Jedi. The old lady says Ahsoka Jedi, and it's meant to be kind of like she's speaking their native language and stuff, but that line is kind of weird. Like I get like they probably just say Jedi for like force sensitive. It's probably like the only word they have for it is Jedi. But like Ahsoka famously says, I'm not a Jedi. Yeah, so that's like turns out old lady is wrong.
That actually she is no Jedi after she was a Jedi. She was a Jedi. She was in training.
Right, she was a Jedi youngling and then she was a Jedi Padawan. Yeah. So true.
Let's move into that movie.
Yeah, Phantom Menace, 32 BBY. We're closing in on that Battle of Yavin. 32 BBY. So the first movie we're discussing, the first Skywalker saga, that's what they call it now. I've accepted that's what we call the movies.
Okay. I
never thought that, like, it always seemed weird to me that like the movies have to be the Skywalker saga. Like, well, I don't know. I guess I lost that battle. I lost that battle with the Rise of Skywalker when they're like, it all has to be about Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This movie came out in 1999. It was the first Star Wars movie in 16 years. I remember it shocked a lot of people. It broke some people's hearts. Other people were just amazed by the CGI technology put on display. But yeah, there's been a lot said about this movie, and I don't know. I'll let you say your piece on the Phantom Menace first, but just like what's your overall stance on this movie?
Briefly,
on this one?
I think this movie is pretty boring, and like it's really. I don't know if it's my least favorite. I don't remember. I'm excited to watch them all close together like this because I can't 100% say right now if this was my least favorite of the prequels, but I think it might be.
Well, you've heard of the Machete Order? Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So the Machete Order, back when there was only 6 Star Wars movie, was the idea the best way to watch the movies would be Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. Like, yeah, I call it Star Wars, not A New Hope, but if A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then then after you get like the reveal, no, I'm your father at the end of Empire Strikes Back.
Then do the prequels.
Except you skip Phantom Menace because you don't need it, and you just start with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and then after you watch those two, then you do Return of the Jedi, and that's the Machete. It's called the Machete Order because it's like you cut with a machete, you cut the Phantom Menace out, and then you cut 2 and 3 from 4, and then you cut 5 from 6 and insert 2 and 3.
That's too complicated. I don't want to do this method.
But the idea is
that the storytelling.
Yeah, and the idea is that you can watch the Skywalker saga without the Phantom Menace, and that like you're better off just skipping it.
Yeah.
And so, I can make the case, I can argue the case that any prequel movie is the worst prequel movie. I can say I can make the argument, oh yeah, Phantom Menace, yeah, but like dumbass Jar Jar Binks stepping in doo-doo. You make like all this childish bullshit, but then you also have like these political conversations about like trade route blockades and taxations and votes and no confidence and all that shit. Parliamentary procedure, blah, 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 blah. But hey, there's a dumb pod race. So I can make the argument that's like the worst of the prequels. But I can make a good case for Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. But yeah, you're not alone in disliking the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I think it's just the dialogue, but it's like the dialogue in all 3 of these prequels are rough.
Kindred Spirits in the live audience says it's mid aside from Duel of the Fates, and I should say that John Williams fucking kills it in this movie. We have like the joke that like John Williams sees like the rough cut of this movie, and then he's like gets on the phone and he's like, "Hello, Secretary Sheila, cancel all of my appointments for the next 2 weeks. Daddy's got to cook." Yeah. And then he just like goes and sits out at the piano and hammers out some of the best film scores ever.
I think he carries almost all of the movies. Like, I don't know. the original trilogy I don't think would have hit as hard without the Williams
No,
score.
yeah, I
it would
say
not. It would have totally
without
flunked.
Ralph McQuarrie and John Williams and maybe one or two other crucial people, I don't think Star Wars would have worked. It's actually incredible that back in the 1970s things aligned to create this. However, I'll say this about the Phantom Menace. As someone who's like, I remember being so hyped for this movie in 1998 and 1999. You know, sometimes when I watch the final season of Deep Space Nine, which was around the same time, I like it triggers memories of like I remember watching the final season of Deep Space Nine at the same time I was anticipating the first new Star Wars movie since 1983. It was gonna be the first. Like I was born shortly after the original trilogy came out. So my whole life there were 3 Star Wars movies. And then here, when I was 13 in 1999, it was going to become 4 movies. I felt like an incredible event. And then like when the movie came out, like I didn't hate it quite as much early on. I definitely had like concerns. Was like, well, they'll do better in the future. I didn't really become like a full-on prequel hater to the point I really did until like after they were all out, and I was like, man, like yeah, these are actually like not very good. I was always thinking like, well, the next one will be better. Mm-hmm. But with the Phantom Menace, I was that was the most hyped for a Star Wars movie I ever was. Like I remember like the Vanity Fair magazine that I had in like January of 99, or maybe it was December of 98, but I just remember like reading like all those interviews with Lucas and him talking about like, oh, we're gonna learn about the master who trained Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, and y'all remember Darth Vader? Well, this movie has a Darth Sidious and a Darth Maul, and just thinking like, oh man, like all of this sounds so cool, so cool, so cool. A fully CGI character, Jar Jar Binks, that's gonna be amazing. And then yeah, like when the movie came out, and it was like, man, that's like really weird. I was not prepared for how bonkers this Jar Jar shit would be. And however, when I go back and watch it now, this is my favorite Star Wars prequel to rewatch.
Okay.
That when I watched it together with you the other day, I may or may not have been under the influence of something, but it was the most fun I've ever had watching the movie since 1999. It brought back but maybe because I was preparing for this show, but like it brought back memories of like, man, like I remember watching like this opening crawl go by for the first time in 1999, and
yeah.
But I like how much of the movie is practical. Like there's more like real sets and real characters and real props and just like practical things than in the other 2 prequels. And they also shot this on film instead of digital like the other 2, so I think it looks way better. And you know, I kind of like I've been a prequel hater for so long. Like it used to kind of hurt me to compliment these movies. Like I felt hurt by them. I felt like Star Wars used to be like this great pure thing, and then you ruined it. And like I don't want to compliment you, Phantom Menace. But I gotta give some compliments to I think Qui-Gon Jinn. To me, especially after watching The Acolyte, Qui-Gon Jinn he's the Jedi that Soul wanted to be. Like that guy who's like he's above all of the bureaucratic Jedi bullshit, and he's connected to the Force and the mission of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But I also feel like the Acolyte did a lot of the Phantom Menace's stuff better than the Phantom Menace does it. Like they show like the less pure Jedi, the Jedi who have started making a lot of mistakes that are going to come bite them in the ass. You know, kind of like the corrupted Jedi. How like they've gotten in bed with this larger corrupt system, and instead of them repairing the system, it's began to corrode them as well. And you know, I feel like the Acolyte explores a lot of these concepts better than the prequels did. But the Acolyte and the Phantom Menace, watching them back to back, there is like a lot of thematic overlap. And I just want to say, I think the Acolyte did a lot of that stuff better. And yeah, Amos is shaking around because he agrees with me. But it would baffle the hell out of me to meet someone who loves the prequels and specifically like really approves of the Phantom Menace as a movie, but has issues with the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dude, like that shit was doing the same shit that you claim to like, but way better.
But it's women. And a diverse cast.
Yeah, well, it was like there's like black people in it, so I don't know if that I guess that surprises me for that to be a factor for some folk.
I think it is. I think that's part of the reason people hate on it. I don't know why. I don't think that's valid.
We saw that with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Yeah. So, but
the other stuff with the Phantom Menace that I think I struggle with is like there's a lot of back and forth, which I think is okay in terms of like storytelling. Like there's a lot of like on Naboo, off onto Tatooine, at Coruscant, back to Naboo, like back to Tatooine. I don't know. Like they don't go back to Tatooine. Okay, sorry, but it's a little bit hoppy around, and I think it's also weird that like Naboo elects a tiny baby.
So
queen.
okay. That is, okay, so this is, George Lucas had, like, a checklist of things he wanted to do, and then he made his list, and then he did all of them, and didn't give a shit if they worked together or not.
It's clear.
Because he's like, okay, I need to have Luke and Leia's mom and dad in this movie, and then he was thinking, like, he wanted it to be a kid's movie. He's like, I want to, like, hook kids when they're young. You know, this was after he had started having kids in his life, and particularly he had, like, a young son in the 90s that I think he was, like, writing this movie for. Like, he wanted it to be a movie for his kid. So, like, a lot of this is written, like, it does feel kind of like a Nick Jr. or a Disney Jr. movie or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, but that was one of his things on his checklist. And he was like, okay, so I'm going to cast Jake Lloyd as Anakin Skywalker, because he kind of looks like a little baby Luke Skywalker. And then he's like, okay, well, let me find some teenage girl actor to play Carrie Fisher's mom. I need someone who looks like Leia's mom. And he found a great actor, Natalie Portman. He directed the worst performances out of her I have ever seen. Yep. Like Natalie Portman is an incredible actor in every movie I've seen her in, except for the 3 I've seen her in that were directed by George Lucas. So to me, that indicates the problem is him, not her.
Yeah, I agree.
But good casting, I guess. Whoever George Lucas hired for casting. That lady who went and saw Stomp and was like, Ahmed Best, he's got to be our Jar Jar, when he was doing Stomp in San Francisco. But before we get into the Jar Jar of it all, but yeah, like Lucas, okay, so he's like, I get like this, Luke and Leia's parents, but okay, to be Princess Leia's mom, she's got to be a queen. So, but I really want it to be a kid's movie for my kid, so I want Anakin to be like 9. So I know that they're gonna get married and have a kid at some point, or have multiple kids at some point, or have twins. I guess that still counts as multiple, but you get what I'm saying. So he's like, okay, well, I need her to be a queen. I need him to be 9. I guess she's going to be a 14-year-old queen, and the planet Naboo elects their queen. So that's really weird. But George Lucas needed like another writer, like someone else in the room to be like, George, I understand your reasoning, but it is fucking weird to write a planet where the society of people choose to elect a 14-year-old girl to roll over them as queen. Yeah. That's just weird, George.
And like, also weird, Jar Jar Binks. Like, I wish there was someone... I feel like the gates were so open with Lucas, and everyone working on this was so excited to be working on anything Star Wars that there was, like, no gate checks. I feel like... I mean, maybe some, obviously. But I feel like there was probably multiple times when people could have been like, hey, George, you know, people probably will start making fun of Count Dooku's name. Do you want to rename him to something that's, like, not stupid? You know?
Yeah.
Or do you want to, like... I know that wasn't, like, Phantom Menace-y, but, like, it's also, like, with Jar Jar, where it's like, well, this is kind of coming across as, like, really annoying.
When Obi-Wan asked Jar Jar, why were you banished, Jar Jar? And then, like, you can't understand it, like, a single word Jar Jar says after that.
Yeah. Like, okay, the thing is you can't have a character who's goofy looking and also difficult to understand. Like, I think you can only have one or the other. Like, you have to have, like, I don't know. Like, they have to either be not goofy.
What about Cousin It from the Addams Family? Do you know Cousin It?
Kind of. But you could put captions on Jar Jar. Like, if you have him, like, I'm not kidding. It's like, Misa, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, in captions be like, I am blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like,
so we need to come out with a fan edit of the Phantom Menace.
With captions.
It's just the exact same movie, but with Jar Jar captions every time he speaks.
Interpretations. Yeah. George, what would that even be? It's not interpretations. It's not captions. It's translations. We need a better Jar Jar translation. Yeah.
I know that Ahmed Best has come out and talked about that. He's like, oh, I brought a lot of, like, my own culture. Like, I have, family from the Caribbean, and, I was trying to put, like, some of our own, like, slang and stuff. But it does come off as, like, kind of racist, the way that like, the way that Jar Jar talks. It's like, if you watch, like old-timey depictions of slaves or, like, subservient black men in the South, it's kind of like that same energy. And it's just like, look at these, like, goofy buffoons, and it's like, that's terrible to put out there. But, and I think that's just another thing. I don't think George Lucas is actually, I don't even think he was thinking of race. I don't even think he was trying to comment on anything like that. But it's just something like, if someone else was in the room, they might have pointed that out.
Yeah. Same
thing with, like, the Nemoidians, how they kind of speak with this, like, kind of Chinese accent when they're speaking English, and it's like, what are you doing here? Are you trying to say that, like, like, Asian people are like these greedy, power hungry foes?
And I would say that's part of, like, the systematic racism we have, right? Like, people aren't seeing it because that's what they're seeing in everything else, so they're thinking it's not racist.
But if George Lucas had, like, a room of people to, like, toss these ideas around with,
but
maybe
I'm
it would
also
come
saying
up.
I think that they were a little scared to, like, pop the bubble.
Yeah.
Pop the bubble and break, because they all wanted to have another Star Wars.
Right. And Lucas Lucas wanted to not have anyone tell him what to do. He's like, I don't want any outside influence. I want to make my movie.
Yeah. But that's a limitation of Lucas. Yeah,
it's a cautionary tale of why you should run your ideas by some people that are different from you.
Yeah, I feel like that's so obvious. But yeah,
I guess something I think about a lot. It's like I have a very limited perspective.
Viewpoint, yeah.
But the way to get around that is to you just ask people and more importantly listen.
Mm-hmm. I think it's probably one of those doesn't take constructive feedback well.
But I'll say this about Lucas though. When I watched The Phantom Menace and when we were watching it, I would be frequently thinking like, well, that's kind of silly, that's dumb, blah blah blah. But if I thought about it a little longer than that, I would come to a point to be like, but I understand why Lucas did this.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of Naboo, I think looks really weird and not quote unquote Star Warsy, but I'm like, well, why did George Lucas choose to do this? It's like, oh, he's trying to show this beautiful era of the Republic before the evil, corrupt Empire came and like ruined everything and made it look all like shitty and not as grandiose and not as not this beautiful romantic imagery, the kind of like this almost like Renaissance era imagery that we get on Naboo. And why did he make Jar Jar Binks so silly? And it's like, oh, because he wanted to make it as like a kid's movie, and he wanted to have like this live action cartoon character. And he, one of the influences for Jar Jar Binks was Goofy, the Disney character Goofy.
Yeah.
And he also looked at like Buster Keaton movies and like these old classic like silent film movie, but there's like a lot of physical comedy in those, and so he's like, oh yeah, I want this guy to have like very like exaggerated movement and motions and just like this for a character who's not there, this imaginary character, he wanted them to have so much personality. It's like I can get why he made the choices he made, and also it's like Jar Jar was so different. It's kind of the same thing that we struggle with a lot today whenever all of these things that we loved in childhood now like these greedy corporations control all of our media, and they're just like, we got to hammer out sequels and reboots and all this stuff, and that's kind of like the balancing act that we get as fans is like, we always want things to be different from what we've seen before, but we don't want things to be too different from what we've seen before. And Lucas was trying to do that. He's like, I'm going to have like this new planet, Naboo. I'm going to have this planet Coruscant that we've talked about in the Star Wars books, but I'm going to have like a little bit of familiar in there with Tatooine and I'm gonna have like this alien companion like Jar Jar Binks, but I need to make sure he's very different than Chewbacca. So he's not gonna be this, kind of criminal outsider. He's gonna be like this goofy, cartoony outsider, and that works with me making it a kids movie for my kid. And I'll get these kids hooked on the goofy Jar Jar stuff, and then they'll pay attention to the big political stuff about like the corrupt government and how this corrupt government becomes ineffectual to stop these evil corporate interests, and these kids will learn all that stuff because they'll like my silly cartoon character. I don't agree that his approach worked, but I think I understand what he was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. So some other things I think I struggled with in this was some of the diplomatic and politics stuff, because there's a little bit of like this runaround of like chasing Queen Amidala, like where is she? I need her here. I need her there.
There's
like
some
there's
plot
like a
holes
lot
in
of
that.
puppeteering that gets a little confusing.
Like, does Palpatine want her to sign the treaty
or not? It's unclear, because it also kind of sounds like he wants to chase her down and kill her at some point.
Right. He sends Darth Maul to go snatch her, and I think I can explain it. But, it does seem, like, inconsistent. He sends Darth Maul to go snatch her, but yet when she comes to Coruscant, she calls for the vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorum, which allows Palpatine to enter the running to be the next Chancellor and eventually be elected the most powerful man in the galaxy. That was obviously what the entire movie was all about. He is the Phantom Menace of the movie. But why did he send Darth Maul to stop her then? My theory is that he wanted her to sign the treaty and make the annexation legal so that it would last longer, because he thought it would, like, take longer to build up the sympathy to get elected. But then, like, she was so headstrong, and the Jedi protecting her were so good that they escaped Darth Maul. So, but he was still able to kind of fast-track the election and pull it off anyways.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering, because we also know the next thing we're going to talk about, the Tales of the Jedi, the Sith Lord, that he is working with Dooku at this time. They're already conspiring together. So maybe he's just trying to get his apprentice killed. So he's like, I really want this Jedi guy, Dooku, to be my new apprentice. I'm going to need him in the Clone Wars. I'm going to need him to fight on the other side against me so that we can build up our militaries. I need these Jedi to kill my apprentice. And it kind of works out for him that he's like, well, either Maul will kill the Jedi, and that'll, like, depress Dooku and pull him closer to the dark side, or the Jedi will kill him and open up a space for Dooku to be my apprentice. Because, they talk about, like, the rule of two. There can be only two. Yeah. But part of the fun of watching this in chronological order is that we can speculate about that kind of thing, though, because we know what Dooku is up to.
Yeah. Well, we haven't really talked about baby Anakin at all in this.
Yeah, what about Jake Lloyd?
There's not... I mean...
I don't want to give him shit, because that guy has become, like, schizophrenic and has, like, a lot of mental health issues. Like, this movie ruined his life.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say... I was just thinking, like... I feel like a lot of Anakin's story is a little... Mary Sue-y. And so I mean, it is. I mean, I would argue that Luke is also a Mary Sue.
I mean, any chosen one story.
Yeah.
You're going to be a Mary Sue or a Gary Stew, as some people call it for boys. But
I don't think it needs to be a name change.
But like, when you're the chosen one, and it's like, you're just naturally the best at everything. I mean, like, Paul Atreides is kind of like a subversion, but he's like a subversion of the chosen one thing. Star Wars rips off Dune a lot.
Yeah.
Like the desert planet and spice and all this stuff, like the Emperor. But like here, it's almost like George Lucas didn't rip off the cool subversive idea. He's just like, he's like Kwisatz Haderach. That's a plot convenience. Yeah, I can just write he's the chosen one by the Force, and that can be his origin story.
Yeah. It's just a little bit crazy to me, too, about that the only reason I guess they end up agreeing to train Anakin is because Qui-Gon Jinn dies, and Obi-Wan is like, well, I promised him that I would train him. Because they were
some of the best scenes of the movie is like Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor. Like when Ewan McGregor is like crying there, like yes, master, I'll train him. It's like man. Some of these scenes in this movie are so terrible, but then like when there's a good one, it makes it hit harder.
Yeah, and I would say that's probably the best acting in the movie would be from Liam Neeson. Like, his is the most believable. Like, like, doesn't pull me out of it at all.
The Irish guy and the two Scottish guys are good. I don't know why it's a Celtic thing.
Yeah.
But with George Lucas's direction, pretty much everyone sucks. You know, like Captain Tanaka, that guy pisses me off. So just like all of his line delivery is just so like he's just like Captain Obvious. Just like at the end when like the Nemoidians are captured, he's like, "I guess you can kiss your trade franchise goodbye." You're like Tatooine, we can't go there. The Hutts are gangsters.
Yeah.
I don't know. That guy just cracks me up. But Ian McDiarmid is good as Palpatine. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, he's like this warm, friendly politician on the surface, but you know, like he's like a Game of Thrones character in Star Wars. He's this political chess player.
He has Plan A through Z, and then Plan AA, Plan AB, AC.
Like you can feel the wheels turning behind his eyes. You can feel the wheels turning in his head.
Yeah, he's constantly adjusting his plan and has backups and stuff. But the one thing I wanted to bring up that's kind of like Star Wars, but not. But when I was a little kid, what year did Shrek come out? 2001?
Probably, that sounds right.
I guess I remember...
Maybe 2000. The towers are still up before
It doesn't
Shrek
super matter,
out,
but in Shrek 2, actually, Fiona's dad, the king, forget his name, but I always thought he was Palpatine. Or I thought Palpatine and him were, like, the same person. Like, they look identical.
Yeah, Shrek was 2001.
And Shrek 2 is the one that has her dad. But I think that's pretty
I've
funny.
I've seen Shrek 2, and I don't remember her dad. I think he's not in it till later.
But also, I think when I was a kid, even, I knew Palpatine was the evil person. Like, he's so creepy.
Well, that was a thing that they didn't really talk about in 1999, so I don't know if younger people remember. Because, okay, you were 4.
I was a baby, and I was creeped out by Palpatine. I was like, that guy, no.
You were 4 when The Phantom Menace came out. I was 13. But, like, when it came out, they did not talk about Sidious and Palpatine being the same person. Mm-hmm. Like, it was almost like they were trying to keep it a secret, like, who is Darth Sidious or whatever. But, you know, it's almost kind of meant to be structured that way. But yeah, it was, like, so obvious that Palpatine was Sidious. But I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, no one ever talks about that anymore. But, like, that used to be, it was almost like a fan theory. It's like, well, Ian McDiarmid is playing both of them. They're the same guy.
Yeah, and then they do that in The Acolyte.
It's weird to me that you think that Palpatine looks so much like a Shrek character. I'll have to check that out. But
I don't remember his name. It's the king. It's Fiona's dad, the Frog King. He turns King Harold. Thank you, kindred spirits. King Harold is Fiona's dad. Okay. But I think they look like their character design is the same.
We're getting low on time because we know Joel is going to be streaming on the Transporter Room soon. So I'm just going to rattle off some notes I have on The Phantom Menace. But I mentioned how I really enjoyed many practical sets, props, and miniatures. But sometimes the overuse of CGI did distract me. There are some unforgivably badly written, acted conversations. Like when they're around the table at the Skywalker residence talking about their plan for the for the pod race.
Yeah. That's so cringe.
Yeah. If you think that's a well acted scene, then that's your opinion, I guess. But
we differ.
Yeah, we differ a lot. Not only is there the plot hole of like why was Palpatine trying to kill the Queen, and keep her from signing the treaty, even though it worked out for him that she came to Coruscant and called for a vote of no confidence, but also like when they're trying to convince this corrupt, impotent Senate that can't do anything, but they're trying to convince them, like, hey, the Trade Federation is actually being really bad on Naboo. Why don't Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just say that, like, yeah, like that ship that y'all sent us over there on to negotiate, they actually blew up that ship and killed both of the pilots. I remember questioning that since 1999.
Yeah.
Since I was 13. Proof. Most of my life.
Yeah.
I've been like, why did that happen?
They didn't want witness statements. They wanted tangible proof. And also we know now in real life that even with tangible proof, it's not enough sometimes.
But yeah, I guess the main thing of the movie is just that Palpatine gets his way. He gets elected Supreme Chancellor, and now he's on the path to creating the Empire. That's cool how like the movie ends with that big celebration when they're playing the Palpatine theme from Return of the Jedi. It's like the music the crowd is playing. It's just like with a faster tempo, and it's in a major key. But you know, like in Return of the Jedi, there's like that Emperor theme. It's like
Yeah. You think the musicians had to sign an NDA?
No, but yeah, then like you get to the Phantom Menace, and it's like
Yeah. It's more bouncy and
but it's
I
like
think
it's Palpatine celebration. He's like, I won, y'all.
it's so Star Wars: A New Hope, like the ending, and they're like, "Here are your medals."
It's not as much Star Wars: A New
Here's-
Hope as The Force Awakens is.
The award walk.
But yeah.
Are you serious? It's literally exactly what that was. But anyway, I think that's enough about the Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
We have one more Tales
So-
to cover before we hop over to Joel's stream.
Right. So the funeral scene at the end of the Phantom Menace, you notice that Yaddle is the girl Yoda who is on the Jedi High Council in the council scene. So we get her story in the Tales of the Jedi episode, The Sith Lord. So this shows what Dooku is up to during the events of the Phantom Menace. There's that cool scene where Dooku and Qui-Gon talk to each other like, I can't believe you just encountered a Sith Lord. That's nuts, you know? And Jocasta, the librarian from Attack of the Clones, is there. But so this confirms Dooku deleted Kamino from the Jedi Archive. That's a plot point in Attack of the Clones. Mm-hmm. And he also made like the arrangements on Kamino under the name of Sifo Dyas, other Jedi who dies at this time. They explain this more in the Clone Wars. But we see that, so during the Phantom Menace, Dooku and Palpatine are united together in a plot to overthrow, I guess, the Jedi and the Senate and take over the galaxy to have like their own order of things. It's kind of weird to see like Dooku as like this hero of the people, but then like he ends up teaming up with the big fascist leader. I don't know, maybe he thought it would be less fascist-y in the long run. But there's that conversation between, Darth Sidious and, Dooku will become Darth Tyrannus when he's a Sith, but it's like that, you lost an apprentice and so did I. So it's like the death of Qui-Gon did kind of push Dooku more to the dark side. And like I was saying, like with the Emperor, like, oh yeah, I got rid of Maul. That was one of the things I was trying to figure out is like, is Darth Maul an actual Sith apprentice, or is he just like a Sith acolyte? Is he just like
Palpatine calls him his apprentice.
He calls him apprentice, and he calls him Lord Maul.
Yeah.
So
I think he is.
So yeah, Maul thought he was like next in line. He's like, man, this shit is cool. Palpatine's gonna take over the galaxy, and I'm gonna be his right hand man. So yeah, no wonder he feels like a raw deal later
jaded.
on when we see him in Clone Wars. But yeah, I really like that Yaddle versus Dooku stuff. I love like when she opens the door and you see like the light coming in on Sidious, and he looks like so evil when he kind of recoils away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it does explain what happened to Yaddle, which I always thought she was kind of a dumb creation. It's like, who's going to be on the Jedi Council? It's like, I don't know. Let's have Yoda and a girl Yoda. We'll just put like long hair on a Yoda. And then, like, after that, they're like, that was really stupid. Let's take Yaddle out. And that's why we don't see more of her. But I kind of like this giving some substance to that character. That image of, like, the light coming in. And kind of, it's a story I really like. I've talked about before. But when Dooku had the opportunity at redemption.
Yeah.
And maybe, like I was saying, maybe if, like, Qui-Gon hadn't just died.
Yeah, I think he's lost all of his hope.
Yeah, you see Qui-Gon so sad, like at that tree.
Yeah,
and he's
like, I used to bring him here as a boy.
Yeah, because Qui-Gon grew up on Coruscant and like never saw trees, and so like he's like, oh, I'll show you a tree, little boy who's never seen one. Yeah. Then the little boy grows up and dies, and it's just, yeah, like it's like I never knew I would sympathize with Dooku, but Tales of the Jedi got me there.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's like some of the best Dooku stories is like this in between Jedi and Sith. Like,
yeah, no, these 3 Tales of the Jedi episodes, like, I'm not saying they're like the greatest thing ever, but they kick the shit out of Attack of the Clones up and down the block in terms of quality. Just like,
yeah, and like emotional storytelling.
Yeah.
Just very it paves the way more clearly instead of like coming up with these ideas of what could have happened or what happened behind the scenes. Like,
yeah,
it's nice to see this.
This is what I'm curious is, like, after we watch all of the Clone Wars now, and then when we get to Revenge of the Sith, and when we see Dooku die, I wonder if that'll hit different now that I've gotten to know this side of him.
Oh, I think it does already. Like the last times I've seen it, just from seeing all of Clone Wars and the tales. So. But I've never seen them in order. So.
Yeah, this makes me... I kind of want to read there's at least one Dooku novel that's like part of like the new Disney canon that I think will tell some of his backstory. Because I was just poking around on the Wikipedia page, and I was saying, like, he got the title Count because when he leaves the Jedi Order, he goes back to his homeworld, and his brother was this very, like, corrupt, evil Count. Mm. And so he, I guess, I don't know if he kills his brother, or locks him up, but he, like, dethrones his brother and becomes, like, the new Count. And
they cover that in Ventress's book, too. I'm forgetting the name of that book. I'm so bad with the book
Dark
titles.
Disciple?
Yeah, in Dark Disciple, she goes to Dooku's
castle.
castle.
That's the thing about Dooku, is that he always wanted an apprentice. Because, like, Qui-Gon left such a big hole for Dooku. And then, like, in Attack of the Clones, he has, like, that one scene where, I don't know how serious he is. We'll talk about it next time. We're about to watch it later tonight. But, like, he tries to convert Obi-Wan onto his side. And then, you know, in the Clone Wars show, he trained Ventress. And then, like, he got in trouble for that and had to get rid of her. But then, like, he wanted to train Maul's brother, Savage Opress. And then... That's his name, right? Savage Opress?
It's definitely Savage. I don't know his last name.
But yeah, like, it's spelled like Savage. It's like Savage Opress. That sounds like the name of a band. Anyways.
So...
but, you know, like, he kind of always wanted a student, you know? Maybe it was just, like, the loss of Qui-Gon. It left, like, this big hole in It's funny, he never went after Anakin, though. He's like, I don't want that Skywalker boy, but anyone else, I would... Because in that novel, Dark Disciple, he takes the Jedi Quinlan Vos under his wing as his apprentice. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else on that Tales of the Jedi episode, Sith Lord?
I don't think so.
I know we've reached our time. But thanks, people, for checking in and watching with us. We don't really put a lot of effort into promoting the show, so it's cool to see anyone show up in the live audience. We don't really have, like, a set time, so I don't know when our next stream is going to be. Probably Monday or Tuesday. Just depends. But yeah, we're going to be starting the Clone Wars next. We are going to probably be covering Attack of the Clones and the early installments of the Clone Wars animated stuff, including the animated Clone Wars movie. So Taylor always says I need to sit up straight when we're on camera. So sorry, let me end the show sitting up. This is as straight as I can sit. So how is that?
Better.
Okay. So I think that is going to do it for today. But everyone, if you're watching us live, go to the Transporter Room YouTube channel. Joel is going to be live building the Lego Enterprise D model. Thank you again for watching us as we were live, and please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss our next show. And you can also listen to us on podcast platforms. But Taylor, anything you want to say before we close off?
No, this has been fun. Ready for Clone Wars, though.
Well, yeah, that's what's next. The Clone Wars are going to begin soon. So until then, remember, the Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel, and may the Force be with you.